It is incredibly hot out. It is scorching. It's like somewhere in the 90s and super humid. And I'm about to get on a boat. I'm going to finally do the duck tours, where you get on I guess a giant duck boat, and I think that's what they call them. And you drive around Boston and you do a tour, and then you go in the water. I've never done this before because, well, I live in Boston. Why on earth would I take a tour of the city I probably know better than any other place on earth? But I've always wanted to do it just to see what it's all about, and I'm finally going to do it today. And it's super, super hot, so we'll see how I handle the heat. I swear, wherever I go, there's all this science. It's like science follows me wherever I go. And here, at yet another museum of science, here in Boston, we are going to embark on the duck tours. Let's check them out. And space stuff. Remember when I was at the other museum, science-y place, there was space stuff? Look, more space stuff. So we just got a look at the big old duck boats that are behind me. We're going to get on one, we're going to go on a tour, and we're going to have some fun. And, of course, a giant dinosaur. Can't go on a tour without a giant dinosaur. So what are my thoughts on the duck tour? Well, it was actually pretty fun. You get on the big old duck boat, so you have this nice elevated view of Boston, you know, because I basically see it from street level, or I go up in a big giant building and I see things. So I actually think I got a unique view of Boston in that we got to see certain things at, you know, almost like, you know, 12, 15 feet off the ground, which does give you a different vantage. So for that, I actually thought it was worth checking out. I could have probably given the tour, as most of the facts that this individual or tour guide spat out I already knew, but, you know, this is my hometown. And interesting, he kept going by hotels that I work in and being like, here's the Fairmont, here's the Taj. I'm like, oh, I work there. So it was interesting to see that they're almost like landmarks that people were crossing by. And of course, we went around Copley, went a little bit close to the theater district, though not necessarily straight through it. Those are the two main areas that I work in Boston. So, like, I basically got a tour of my job sites, but still fun. And then we went on the water. The water was actually probably the shorter part of it, and you really only just churn around the Charles a little bit. You don't go out into the harbor. You can do a harbor cruise. Like, there's plenty of harbor cruises. This is the only one that I can think of that you actually go out on the river. I don't think I've ever actually been out in the Charles like that. I think I've taken one harbor tour that went out on the Charles. So there's probably a little bit of those. Most of the harbor tours just simply go out on the harbor. And those are pretty much all over the place. So this was interesting in that we got to go around the Charles River a little bit more, behind the Museum of Science, and got a really great view of the actual city of Boston from the river. So in that sense, it was pretty cool. Worth checking out. If you're coming to Boston and you want to see the city really quickly, get a really good overview of the historic and downtown areas, a little bit of the Copley area, then the duck tours are pretty fun. And you get to see a really great view of the cityscape from the river. If you know Boston, you're not going to see anything new. But these aren't really designed for people to go and take as a new experience to get familiar with the city. You know, they're designed for tourists. So check it out, and this would be a great thing if you brought friends into the city, if you brought people in and they were like, what's to do in Boston? We really want to see Boston. Well, the duck tours would be a good way to do it. So go check it out, and maybe go on a day that's not so hot. Although it cooled off by 6 o'clock by the time we were headed out there, so it wasn't so bad. But you're right out there in the duck boats. They're wide open. You're at least in the shade, so it's not so bad. But you are exposed to the heat of the summer. I'd say it's a great activity for anybody to do. All right, hit the like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.